Abominable snow, man. High Line is closed. I'm actually not surprised by that. I would have expected that. It's extremely snowy. It's not abominable, actually. It's quite beautiful. A clean blanket of white covering the filth of New York. Whoa, a little treacherous walking around here. But I do like coming out in the snow, even though it can be a bit dangerous. You got to be careful walking around. But it's quiet. It's unique. I mean, people who've been to New York, if you haven't been in a blizzard like this, it's a unique condition. Quiet, solitary New York. There's very few people around, even fewer cars. Looks like a lot of people have closed their businesses. I mean, I think I heard this, I didn't confirm this, but I think they said Ma'am Dummy put on a curfew or something like that. You can't do that. You can't tell people don't go outside. Dogs love it. Yeah, I'm gonna play in the snow. It's a little windy, but I wanted to come out and show everybody the blizzard conditions. We'll see if I make it up there. I was gonna do the walk on the High Line, which is generally, there's stuff falling from the buildings. So yeah, that might not be safe. It's generally safer to walk in the fresh snow because what happens is, people probably shoveled this morning and then you get this kind of compacted, slick, mushy, slippery stuff. Not exactly ice. It isn't super freezing cold right now. It's not like, 1 degree as it was during the last snow. But it's tricky, you can slip. So you got to be careful. These guys are diligently clearing the sidewalk. Look at that. So it's quite a lot of snow that's fallen already. Maybe a foot. Quite a winter, huh?
Hello.
Hi. Did you guys have to show 2 forms of ID to shovel snow? Maybe not. So we got salt, everything going on. Salting the sidewalk. The Sultan of Salt. Yeah, so I've been busy the past couple days. People saw this Hillary Clinton cartoon, Mrs. Bill, as it were, with Charles. I enjoy doing those kind of cartoons. This person's obviously out of their mind. Bought a Rivian and decided to drive it around in the snow. Look at the city bikes. Totally covered. I mean, that's a lot of snowfall, and it's still falling. I don't know. I've heard estimates of 20 inches on the way. Was that Jesse from Breaking Bad? Or perhaps AI? Yeah, so the Hillary Clinton cartoon, that was AI. Not a one-shot prompt, not by a long shot. I don't know, maybe you could have gotten there with that. I don't see how. It took several days, maybe 4 days of intense work on that, which is obviously quite a lot more time than it takes. It was a minute and a half or something like that over 4 days. And it only got like 6,000 views. So, again, if views and clicks, everybody's always like, oh, you're just doing this for views and clicks. I actually really enjoy doing work like that animation. It takes me back to my old days. Even actually before 3D, I was doing animation in college and even in my childhood. Hiya. A lot of snow, huh? I don't know if that guy had to show 2 forms of ID. But yeah, so I've been digging into stuff like that, exploring more animation projects. I don't think it's going to get more people to watch the channel or necessarily even sponsor the show, but I'm quite fascinated by the current state of the art of artificial intelligence. I don't know, you hear a lot of different things. It's going to take over and destroy the world. I hope that doesn't happen. Take away everybody's jobs. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, obviously it's going to have a lot of impact on a lot of different kind of jobs, but maybe, I don't know, I mean, certainly in the case of that animation, people can see how it's accelerated my animation capabilities. Look at this little guy's dog outfit. He's got the shoes, dog snow jacket, the whole 9 yards. But I mean, I wasn't going to be able to do that level of animation without AI. So I don't know. Then there's going to be people who say, oh, you didn't make that. Take the Barack Obama attitude. The computer made that. Well, okay, true. But then what about this video? Isn't the computer making this? A phone? I don't know. These are tools. I find AI extremely interesting. Maybe it'll create new jobs for people. Like, I'm an animator now. I mean, I was before, but not on this level. Certainly that's... Whoa, see, this is what I'm talking about. That level of animation is, whether you found that particular one funny or not, it's way closer to something you would expect to see on broadcast television than the first one. The first Mrs. Bill that I did back in 2017 or 18, that was really done as a joke. And I mean, I barely knew Charles at that time, so I think he was particularly blown away by it. I was still trying to sort of introduce myself to the Crowdsource the Truth audience, let people know. Because, you know, I love that stuff, doing animation, making creative productions. And there were a lot of people who, I was just trying to figure out how to combat the social engineering, you know? And some of it was saying, oh, you know, Jason's FBI, they found someone who worked for the FBI or the NYPD named Jason Goodman, and they said it was me. Now, years later, a photograph of this guy came out. He's like 7 feet tall, obviously not me. And I don't know, I found it amazing that anybody could or would say that or think that somehow 21st century 3D was fake and that I didn't do it. They found pictures of John Rupcalvis. I haven't spoken to John in many years, and they're like, this guy, he was the brains behind 21st century 3D. I mean, it's not true. I was friends with John, and he's an innovator in the field of stereoscopic cinema. I hope he's still alive. I should look him up. He was quite old when I left LA a long time ago. Yeah, it's all closed here, the High Line. But I was trying to wrap my head around this social engineering problem that's really become a central focus of Crowdsource the Truth. Just understanding it, trying to overcome it, helping to educate people about it. This is windy and maybe not the best idea I've had all week. But yeah, doing those animations, you know, it was really mostly a joke. You know, the clay puppet was crappy. If you go back and look at that first one, there's really very little actual animation in it. That requires a tremendous skill, being able to model those clay puppets and animate life into them. I don't think I was ever very good at that particular aspect of it. But to overcome that, you know, that's why I blue screen composited Charles in there and the explosions and the jokes. I mean, it was more about the overall joke of it. This one, obviously much more sophisticated animation, allowed me to take the joke further, and I figured, it didn't make sense to do the same thing again. When I did that first one, Charles really liked it. He's like, oh, let's do another one with this and that. And I was like, Charles, it's a lot of work. And I just felt like doing the same thing again wasn't really too worthwhile. But I'm intrigued by artificial intelligence. I mean, again, it's like you're not getting that toothpaste back in the tube. All these people who are... I get it that Hollywood doesn't want people ripping off their ideas. Now, could Mr. Bill say you ripped off my idea? I don't think so. I didn't include the character in there. It's obviously an homage, a parody. But when you make something like that that becomes such a part of the cultural, fabric, Star Wars or whatever, the parodies of it almost increase the fame. There are some people who are just straight stealing, making Matrix fights and stuff like that. And it's reasonable for Hollywood and actors and people who make their money on the basis of their likeness and their voice. Yeah, this is a new area for them to be concerned about. But when they invented the motion picture camera, vaudeville performers were upset about that because they said, well, wait a minute. If we just perform once and you can record it, that's it. We're going to get paid once and then people will just watch the recording. We won't make any money. And so that led to, new laws and new ways of doing business where people got royalties and, selling tickets and all that. And that the industry grew. Obviously, I think Tom Cruise and all those people are way more famous and make more money than anybody from vaudeville ever did. We're getting a lot of snow on the lens here. So Matthew McConaughey said, you got to just trademark your name. And I mean, he's right. Obviously, lawyers are going to make money from this. They never seem to miss an opportunity to do that. Lawyers are social engineers. People got so upset when I said that Baron Coleman was a social engineer. But see, I don't think those are real people. And I've become even more intrigued with Baron Coleman's social engineering. So I'm on Jimmy Dore the other day. I'm suspicious of Jimmy Dore. I mean, he's another one of these guys who I've heard him say like, oh, we're being suppressed and this and that. Doesn't he have like 2 million viewers? How suppressed are you? I haven't seen him get sued to oblivion and channels taken down. He seems to be able to broadcast. Same with Barron. But that's not it. People say, oh, you're just jealous, this and that. What I'm looking at is the activity. Like, in other words, I put out a tweet yesterday. People saw another lawyer. I'm pretty sure he's a lawyer. Kash Patel. Isn't he a lawyer? He was at the hockey game drinking beer with the American hockey team. I don't know what that is. Is that the Olympics or something? So, I mean, I'm not saying that Kash Patel shouldn't be allowed to drink beer and have a good time. I'm just saying the optics of that are not so good, given that he's the director of the FBI, and the FBI is basically a failed organization. Everyone is upset about the lack of prosecution of highly suspicious characters associated with the Epstein files, including Howard Lutnick and many others. And here's Kash Patel hanging out drinking beer like he's on the hockey team. What the hell is up with that? It's a little weird. Wow. It's just snowing harder now. So, there was a video somebody put out about Howard Lutnick. Very good video. I retweeted it. Ooh, this is hurting my face. This is wild. See, that guy's making ice right there.
27.
slippery walking. This Lutnick video, see, the thing is, I've been suspicious of Howard Lutnick from the second Trump appointed him. I didn't like that appointment at all. People will recall that David Hawkins used to talk a lot about Howard Lutnick and his potentially, close association with Jeffrey Epstein, as Hawkins used to call him, that they lived next door to each other. But Hawkins used to talk about how Lutnick had a patent on some kind of probability of outcomes of events. We got to look that up, the Howard Lutnick patents. I've been thinking about potential ways I could use AI to kind of like scan the archives of David Hawkins and maybe make some kind of crowdsource the truth library where you could look up a topic and find out, what did David Hawkins say about this person? What did Larry Nichols say about that person? So those guys are gone, you know? You can't ask them these things anymore. I'll tell you, the day is not too far off. I've already made that AI Hawkins avatar. We did a couple of limited animations with that in the past. But the day is not far off. I mean, we've seen this in fictional movies where somebody goes to the library and you get the AI hologram of Hawkins explaining to you about Howard Lutnick. I don't know if I'm ready to do that, but just having a text database that you could search and maybe go to the episode and watch it. I don't know how I will do that, but it seems like an interesting idea that could be possible somehow. Anyway, this thing was talking about Howard Lutnick and how they own the apartments, the townhouses next to each other. And this guy, Guido Goldman or Guido Goldstein, I think Goldman. Who ever heard of Guido Goldman? It's like, wait a minute. Is that a real name? That's like, Shlomo Nunzio. Who are these guys? But that guy somehow notarized the deed where I believe Epstein deeded this crazy multi-million-dollar townhouse for $10. And I think it's been made illegal, but I do know that that was a thing that you could do in New York. Uh-oh. This guy's trying to spray me. Damn, that's crazy. That guy's going real fast. Why does driving that fast with a snowplow, maybe slower would be? That's crazy. But I'm not going to walk all the way up to 71st Street. That's crazy. But I am getting somewhere with this. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, so this video that I retweeted, people can see it at JG_CSTT. Lutnick is up to all kinds of crazy stuff. He does seem to have had foreknowledge about 9/11. There's lots of emails between him and Epstein on the DOJ Epstein files. How can they say they're not going to investigate or prosecute anybody? How can Trump continue to have Howard Lutnick there? And then people are like, oh, Trump derangement syndrome. Really? I mean, we're going to not investigate someone with all this evidence of 9/11, plus anybody who's seen him talk about it, he just seems suspicious on the day. I remember thinking on the day he seemed suspicious. I had no idea who he was. I was thinking about Cantor Fitzgerald because a friend of mine worked there and had obviously been killed in the building. I mean, I didn't know that on the day, but nobody got out. The whole thing got crushed. this guy with the video points out that the 630 or 670, it was almost a quarter of the people who died that day. It's like everybody in his company got killed. And this guy, he didn't go into detail, but he pointed out what I suspected, is that there's something going on with the 9/11 charity that Lutnick's wife runs. And he drew connections to Terramar. I'll speak to Charles later today and bring all of this to his attention. The Terramar and nonprofit connection will definitely pique Charles' interest, I would think. A lot of people used to send Charles information and say, now how does this make any sense? He's just shooting snow directly onto the sidewalk. That's a genius right there. Shooting snow from the left side of the sidewalk to the right side of the sidewalk. Perfect. People used to send Charles all kinds of messages. Hey, investigate this, investigate that. No, that's not how Charles works. If you bring him something that will advance what it is that he's investigating, he's likely to become interested in it. But if people try to redirect him to whatever they think is interesting, it's not going to work. I should have zipped this up more. Yeah, Terramar, that's the Ghislaine Maxwell nonprofit. There's another thing. Remember, people have heard this, maybe you have or haven't. Epstein won the lottery in New Mexico. Did people know about that? And there's some emails about the lottery where it's redacted who he's emailing with, but he's talking about how much he would like to win the lottery. Now, if that's Bill Richardson, first of all, Richardson is dead. Why redact that? But if it is Bill Richardson, who was the governor, we got to check the dates of that email and when Epstein won the lottery. But if he won the lottery while Bill Richardson was governor of New Mexico, I mean, doesn't the state run the lottery? Does the governor have the ability to manipulate the outcome somehow? I don't know. The governor certainly has influence over the attorney general of the state, and if somebody's manipulating the lottery, it seems like they don't want to get prosecuted for that. But Epstein won the lottery. Think about that for a second. What the hell is the likelihood of that? It seems low to me. That's very suspicious. So, I mean, we're just going to not prosecute anyone and say, oh, hooray, Kash Patel is having a great time pounding beers and acting like a moron with the hockey team. Look, I've pounded beers too, but I'm not 20 anymore, and I'm not the director of the FBI. Let's go to Times Square. Oh yeah, let's see if the naked cowboy is out. I saw him out in the last blizzard. That guy's crazy. I don't understand. I'm a little cold, all, dressed up with snow stuff. That guy was in his underwear. I wonder if he's still alive. There's 21st Century 3D, or the former location of 10th floor of that building, in the back on the courtyard. Yeah, doing those animations takes me back to my days in production. It was a much different life. I made a lot more money. I don't know, maybe I should get back into that. Oh yeah, people might have seen that I did a stereoscopic image with AI. I was so excited. That actually was a lot of time spent on that because it wasn't working. And at first I couldn't understand it. This is an interesting lesson. Because I was thinking, hey, if you have this AI and you tell it, make me a picture of the abominable snowman climbing the Empire State Building, boom, it'll do it. You could then say, oh, that's good, but, put him on the other side of the building, or give me a picture at the base of the building looking up, and it'll do that. Sometimes. It's weird. It's a bit like having a girlfriend. You ask it to do something and you're not sure if it will or won't. And sometimes it cooperates. But I mean, I guess it's like having a kid. But so I presumed, well, okay, hey AI, make me an image of this thing, and then shift the camera over, keep the focal length the same. You know, I gave it all these prompts that were sort of how I would set up a 3D camera, and it just wouldn't do it. It wouldn't give me a 3D image. And I couldn't understand why. It was because I had this picture in my head of how it worked, presuming that it must have a 3D model of this thing that it's rendering. And after days and days of getting only 2 successful stereoscopic images, I left the imaging part of it and went back to the chat part and was like, hey, what the hell is going on? How come you won't make a 3D image? And it explained to me that it doesn't work like that. It doesn't have an actual mesh 3D model of an object that gets rendered like it would in traditional 3D animation. That it's using, what did it say? Some kind of diffusion model. And that in the circumstances where I got successful images, I had limited the possible outcomes sufficiently that the thing's only choice was to come up with a stereoscopic image. And I said, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense either. I mean, I just don't understand really how this AI works. It's quite amazing. I mean, there's little doubt in my mind that if someone wanted to, they could make an AI imaging model that could make 3D images, but the current diffusion models aren't that good at it. So unfortunately, I abandoned my thoughts of making I didn't abandon, but I just put on hold my thoughts of getting back into the 3D movie business using AI. Although I don't even think it would be a business. It would just be the creative endeavor of doing that. It smells like some delicious pizza around here. But back to Lutnick and all of these guys. What is going on, you know? And Kash Patel, again, remember, he was the one who said there's no there on Epstein. And Trump said a lot of people who are his friends would be in trouble. So does that mean if you're friends with Trump, you can be involved in 9/11 and he's not going to do anything about it? Because that's bad. People were like, oh, Trump derangement syndrome, cry harder. So hang on a second. We just don't care that even if there's evidence that somebody in the government right now was involved in planning or executing or covering up or profiting from 9/11, we're just going to not do anything? That doesn't fly. So, I mean, that would make Howard Lutnick a social engineer, right? He's on there lying to Miranda Devine. She's a nice lady. I've met her. But, you know, she works for the New York Post. That's Rupert Murdoch. He's also a social engineer as far as I can tell. That guy's been in it forever. When Qantas got its first 707, I think it was a 707, it started flying from, you know, Sydney to Los Angeles or whatever they were doing. He was on that. Came over and was hanging out with JFK. All right. Maybe that's normal. Maybe that's why he became a media mogul. So he went to where the news was. Holy crap. New York Times has some kind of gas-powered snow plow doing its sidewalk here. This is the New York slime. But yeah, Rupert Murdoch, he's been in it forever. I don't really trust him, you know? And remember, the New York Post historically has had a lot of weird Jeffrey Epstein related stories. That's where we saw Ghislaine Maxwell hanging out at In-N-Out Burger which was started by an army guy. Yeah, see, this is another great idea. Shoot snow into the street, then the plow will come and shove it back onto the sidewalk. Oh, falling ice. He's got all kinds of snow moving devices. But where is he putting it? A little busier up here towards Times Square. Scream 7 is out. Unbelievable. I didn't even know that. I don't know, are people still going to the movies? They're like, oh, you know, people have to go to the movies. Nobody's going to the movies. I don't understand how these movie theaters stay in business. This thing's out of business. What was this? Haven't been up by this way for a little while. MJ, the musical. That's a good idea. Finally, for a musical. A lot of people are saying Michael Jackson was framed by the Epstein crew. That rings true to me. I never really believed that stuff about Michael Jackson. It always seemed to be coming from kids who wanted money and weird parents who were, you know, manipulating that. And, you know, people know all the stories. Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin always said he was a nice guy. But Lutnick, I don't know. I hope Trump does something. And look, I'm not against Trump. I still like Trump, voted for Trump, want him to succeed. But you can't tolerate that level. He's got to do something here about Lutnick. He's got to do something about all this Epstein stuff. You know, other countries are doing things. We got to do something. So the other social engineer that I was going to talk about, because, okay, so there you got Rupert Murdoch, news guy. He's got Fox News. He's got New York Post, Wall Street Journal. That's controlling a lot of information. So let's talk about another guy that came up on the show on Friday with Sal, Robert Sigg. It's an interesting guy. I had never heard of him before Sal mentioned him, and I've been looking into him. You know, we discovered in real time on the show on Friday, and by the way, if you didn't see it, I recommend people check it out on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. You can also get it by following me on X at JG_CSTT and subscribing there. But the point is, that guy Robert Sigg started a company called Performance One Media. And that Performance One Media owns Real America's Voice, where Steve Bannon is on there and Jack Posobiec, all these people who are just social engineers, totally full of shit, lying about all kinds of stuff, making up all kinds of stories. Trying to control what people think is true, right? I mean, if that thing tells you Howard Lutnick is a nice guy, then he's a nice guy. If that thing tells you Thomas Crooks shot at Trump, then a lot of people are going to believe that. So, I mean, they're controlling what people think through these media outlets. And the thing that's weird is this guy Robert Sigg, we found out on the show on Friday, Sal knew he had been convicted of mortgage fraud, but we went into some of the details, and he really got a very light sentence compared to some of the other people. The top guy was convicted. I don't know if he served or is still serving time, but it's a 101-year conviction, which seems like a lot. Other people got 50 months, it's 4.5 years, stuff like that. It's a lot of time to spend in jail. And Sig got off relatively light, time served and stuff like that. It just smacks of having been part of a plea bargain. And I was talking about this with Blake Bednar's. People are like, so what? Who cares? All right, I mean, if you don't care, it's like if I told you, that guy just smashed the camera. I mean, if I told you, hey, there's a bunch of poison in that McDonald's hamburger you're about to eat, and you said, so what, who cares? Yeah, I guess so. I don't want to eat it. Now, the camera's a little bit out of whack here. Let's see if we can get this back in shape. I'm upside down now, probably. The point is, these guys, they signed plea deals, and now they're doing the bidding of whoever they signed the plea deal with. Is that the DOJ? Is that Kash Patel? So if Kash Patel says, hey, there's no there on Epstein, and we've got news stations run by plea bargaining social engineers and YouTube channels and Twitter handles run by plea bargaining social engineers like Blake, I mean, I don't know, do you not care that you're eating a poison hamburger? I'm interested in knowing about that. So this guy, Robert Sig, the other thing that's weird is, like Blake, he's got a lot of convictions. Burglary, in the case of Sig, mortgage fraud, I think there was identity theft in there. He seems busy. It strikes me as difficult. See, like I'm trying to do these live stream shows and animated cartoons about Charles Ortel and Hillary Clinton. It's hard to do both because any one of them occupies quite a lot of your time. So I think if you are a prolific arch criminal, it becomes difficult. Yeah, there's an ad for Patreon right there. I have not seen that before. Times Square in the snow. But it just seems difficult to be a prolific arch criminal and a media executive at the same time. I think you kind of got to do one or the other. I don't know. Haven't tried it, but this is what I presume. So the other thing is, see, I haven't been able to do that much with my lawsuits lately because I've been so involved in AI animation. And trying to keep up with the live streams. So something kind of goes by the wayside. And see, I suspect that that's what George's brother has wanted to do for the past 10 years. Keep me occupied with his stupid lawsuit activity so that I can't get involved in doing research into Robert Sig, doing live streams. I don't know that he cares that I'm doing animations, but see this right here, even right now, this is the most treacherous to walk on. This compacted near ice. If it was colder, this would be very, very dangerous. That's almost unwalkable right now. I do not see a naked cowboy out here with good reason. Even if he was out last time, he probably realized that was stupid as hell. Oh, look, snowman. Wow! That is great. Statue of Liberty in snow. Very well done. Some talented people making snowmen. Wow, look at the face on this one. So you got some snow on the lens. I might make that worse. Let's see, maybe this better view. Isn't that great? Snow Statue of Liberty. Very well done. But yeah, difficult to be a prolific criminal and a media executive. So in 2004, Robert Sigg, he was arrested on what seemed to be his sort of, big mortgage fraud crime. So then he's in court. That's another thing that's going to occupy a lot of your time and attention and money, paying lawyers in your criminal case. I wonder, maybe he was out on bail or something, but the weird thing is, we discovered that the same year he gets kind of, sentenced to time served and basically the court case is done. That's 2006. August of that year, he starts this Performance One Media. Now, I was looking more into Robert Sigg a little bit over the weekend and today after Sal brought all this to my attention on Friday. And he's difficult to locate on the internet. A lot of people remember I said, as an example, Adam Bartholomew, who's a guy I didn't know and had never heard of before the Charlie Kirk murder. I just saw his YouTube channel, saw his name, figured maybe this guy lives in Utah since he's there covering the event, looked up on my various find people databases, Adam Bartholomew, Utah, found a guy with that name who looked to be about the age that Adam Bartholomew appeared to be, and called him and got to him right away. And what I mean to say is, that's a regular guy. He goes to the Verizon store or whatever and he gets a cell phone, keeps that cell phone maybe for 10 years, 20 years, who knows, rents an apartment or buys at a house, sets up a phone, switches it maybe a couple times. But, normal people don't go through 50 cell phone numbers and 20 addresses. And maybe you're there saying, oh, I do, I move a lot for work. I'm saying some people do, but most people don't. Most people actually value keeping the same phone number for a long time because they want people to be able to reach them and not be confused as to how to do that. But see, there are some people, and they always seem to be these people who are causing me trouble and doing all this social engineering, who they have, even in the case, Robert Sigg, I've never met anybody with the last name Sigg, S-I-G-G. Maybe you have. Maybe it's not the most uncommon name, but his name isn't Robert Johnson. That would be, Robert Jones. That would be a hard guy to find. But Robert Sigg, and also these court documents and public things, they tell you his middle initial. But this guy, it's hard to find. Lots of listings. Colorado, Florida, Arizona, none in New York. It's weird. Because when I went to the Colorado Secretary of State to look up the foundational documents for this Performance One Media, the address was in New York City, 650 Fifth Avenue. That is incredibly premium office real estate. You just saw 21st Century 3D. And by the way, 8th Avenue over there has come up a lot. I rented that office space right after 9/11, actually, because business went down. I couldn't afford the office on 20th Street anymore. And 8th Avenue, that whole area was blown out back then. There was a methadone clinic around the corner. It was a lot less expensive to rent that crappy office. So my point is, if you've just been being prosecuted for mortgage fraud for the past 2 years and just skated by on the skin of your teeth while all of your indicted and convicted co-conspirators did huge amounts of time in jail. I don't know, is that the time that you're going and renting an office in 650 Fifth Avenue? We're getting close to it right now. This is Fox News right here. We're on 6th Avenue. This is, Rupert Murdoch's News Corp media empire. That makes sense that a billionaire dude has an office in there or controls most of that building. You'll probably see this lady on Fox later. But I don't know, I'm just confused by all this. We'll go have a look at 650 Fifth Ave. Maybe it's not the best day to do that. I mean, you can look at it on Google Earth and you'll see. It's a swank building. It's weird that you're going to start a company. And that's what I mean. Why does it need to be in that building? Is it a TV studio in that building? Because even if it is, why not start that in New York or something? What just happened? Audio source changed. Come back, audio source. Come back. Did I lose power? Still have power there. There, it's back. Maybe it's the weather. Audio source is under the weather. Yeah, but I mean, look, I could be wrong. This is speculation. I'm asking. I don't know this guy, Robert Sig. But like I said, I've never met anybody with that last name, Sig. He should be kind of pretty easy to get to. He was not. I won't say how I found him, because that's the Colonel's secret recipe, but I was able to positively identify him. And by the way, it was under a record that used a different middle initial than what is recorded as his official middle initial. So this guy, he's doing identity duplexing with potential typos of his name. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to put in the proper middle initial, but my finger must have slipped on the keyboard, creating this other record. So the point is, there was like a long list of Robert Sigs. Most of them in Colorado. What's happening with my audio? This is terrible, just as I get to the... Come on now. Is it that it's getting wet? What are we doing here, people? Come on. This is very disappointing. Come on. Check 1, 2. I think that might do it. I think this is weather. This is not electronic interference. This is why it's difficult to do live streams in the snow. But the point is that accidental? That this guy who is a convicted fraudster seems to be identity duplexing himself, make it difficult to figure out who he is, how this company is connected to him or whatever. But I found him in connection with this performance media, and I still don't know what the deal is. How did he start a company with an office at 650 Fifth Avenue? I mean, it's got to be thousands of dollars a month in rent. Why would you do that? Maybe start it someplace modest. Like I said, if you need studio space, how do you like the snow? Look, stupid Mario World. Maybe start it New Jersey, Brooklyn even, Staten Island. You got Silver Cup Studios. I don't think they would have a TV studio in the middle of the thing. And if he's saying, oh, well, how does a guy who's a convicted fraudster and burglar, I think he had some assault in there. We got to check the record. But now suddenly he's a high-end media executive with offices near, NBC, Fox News. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. It almost seems like he might have signed a plea deal and somebody said, okay, you're going to play a role in this social engineering mishigas, as Sal would say. We're going to have you be the executive in charge of this media company that's going to take over for the news. Is anybody ice skating right now? Oh, it's too snowy to ice skate. That's a lot of snow. So this is my speculation. Back to having audio problems. Very disappointing. See if I can rectify this without killing the stream here. Come on. Come on. What's happening? I think it's got water in there. This is so sad. Worst conditions to be dealing with this. Oh! Yeah, it's almost definitely going to end the live stream. Well, let me just keep going. I think people can still hear me. We'll keep going. Is this closed? It looks like Rockefeller Center is closed. They don't want you going in there, having a slip and fall and calling their lawyers. So we're coming up to 5th Avenue now, and we'll just check out 655th and then maybe call it a snow day, because it is snowy as hell. I think people can still hear me. Whoa. Is that private contractor shoveling snow? Why is that guy shoveling snow? Maybe it is. Maybe it was on that end. Maybe it was not that end. No, it's got water in it or something over here. Oh God, I got 8 blocks to walk, I think. That ought to do it. Let's see. No? Still no. Unbelievable. Built-in microphone, it says. I think this is just software error from being wet the whole time. It's not as cold as it has been. I don't know, this could be terrible audio right now, and I have no idea. Is that doing anything? Get my audio back? Built-in microphone. Damn it. Well, let's just continue to check out New York and the snow. you can see. Big mess. Why is this guy going in reverse? Oh, wait a minute, we're back. Great. This is waste collection. So, okay. Sound is back. That's good news. I don't know why it's behaving like this. But it's the inclement weather, I would say. Are people still buying Legos in the snow? That's nice. Atlas snowed in. So let's see. This is 6:36. We're very close. The Lego store. Aha, and here's Victoria's Secret. See, anytime you come to these locations, you're going to notice things that you might not notice just from looking at Google Earth or whatever. But let's see. Which is 650? What does this notice say? Due to Jeffrey Epstein, we're closed? Store closed. Open tomorrow if weather permits. Yeah, who's buying underwear in the snow? You could buy a vacuum cleaner. I think it's this Nike building. Oh, there's some falling snow. Where's the address? You got Cartier right there, Nike, Zara, which is 650. I think it's this. Yeah, here. This is 655th. This is fancy as hell. So do we think that a just convicted and done with court guy is opening an office in this super fancy building? Oh shoot. Get out of the middle of the street. Got a snowplow rushing toward me. Let's continue to check out 655th. They're not going to let me in there. And I don't know that this... It's not still there. The address that they give for it now is in Colorado. My point is, our buddy boy, Robert Sigg, he's got nothing to do with 655th Avenue. He's got nothing to do with New York. Out of all these addresses I found, you guys work here at 655th?
Yeah.
Super fancy building, isn't it?
655th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Premium offices, right? It is, huh? All right, thanks. You know, those guys aren't going to say anything, but the point is, Robert Sigg had lots of addresses in Colorado. He's got an address in Florida, Arizona. Not a single one in New York. Why is he starting a company at 650 Fifth Avenue, an obviously premium office space, just a few months after he's done with 2 years of criminal prosecution, undoubtedly spending tons of money in court, starts this Performance One Media that is initially putting infomercials on cable television. Why do you need that office in New York City to put infomercials on cable television? Again, Brooklyn, New Jersey, Staten Island, 10th Avenue, anywhere less expensive than that. It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's something I don't know about Robert Sigg. Maybe he's got a rich uncle who had an office in 650 Fifth Avenue and said, hey, you're a loser. You just got done being prosecuted. Come take a desk at my office, start your new company. Anything is possible. But wouldn't he have an apartment in New York if he was working at that office, starting a media company? And if so, why wouldn't that be included in this, the guy? It's all just weird to me, a little bit. But this is quite a walk in a blizzard to come and check out Robert Sigg. So there's more to be investigated about this guy. And by the way, I don't know that we're ever going to find out. He's a guy. He doesn't have to tell us anything. He's running this media company. Then there's this weird thing where his son murdered a 10-year-old girl. A lot of strange things about Robert Sigg. Maybe even inexplicable. So, I can't really get into comments here. Live chat comments. It's too snowy. But we'll continue to check out it's actually snowing harder now than when I left. This is an incredible blizzard. Back to Fox, UBS. See, UBS, that's that thing that's Union Bank of Switzerland. These are all incredibly fancy offices around here. It just doesn't seem like the place where you would, as a guy who just got done getting prosecuted, open your office. Union Bank of Switzerland, remember, George Bush's father was involved in that. Around George Bush Sr., this is Prescott Bush was involved in Union Bank of Switzerland, was accused of laundering money for the Nazis with that. So, are these all the world-controlling lunatics around here? And do they pluck people out of court and jail? And make plea deals with them to open media companies that will help them continue their social engineering? I don't know. But maybe. Could be. I think there's a subway around here. Should I try and get on it? Maybe I'm wrong. Radio City. Yeah, there it is. All right, I think we're going to put a pin in it here and we're going to take the subway back. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Become a sponsor. Go to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com.